Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's the Masked Man, and today we're going to be talking about Jojolion, JoJo's Part 8. Now, before we do that, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, that way you're notified whenever a new video pops up on some of your favorite anime, manga, or whatever content. We're really close to 100,000 subscribers, and I don't know, it's just surreal saying that. But without further ado, cue the intro. If there was any way to describe this part, there was any way at all to describe it, imagine someone put out a 1,000-piece puzzle in front of you, right? But the image in the front of the box that basically lets you know what exactly you're making is gone. They don't give you the box. They just give you all the pieces. And there you are, putting it together, slowly but surely. And then once you finally get 30% of it down, then someone finally gives you the box so you know what you're looking at. I think that's like the best analogy I can come up with when it comes to JoJo's Part 8. And I can't really say it's a negative. I can say it's a bit off-putting because Part 7, whilst although it did have its mysteries, it did feel a lot more straightforward in its plot. And I'm going to get this out of the way right now. Part 7, I think, has a stronger case to be the best part in JoJo's than Part 8. But Part 8 is definitely up there. If you were to take Parts 7 and 8, and then compare them to Parts 1 and 2, you would not think this was made by the same author. Maybe the same artist, but the same author, you would not believe it. When you look at Part 1, you see an over-exaggerated method of expressing these common character tropes. When you look past the styles of JoJo in Part 1 and 2, it's a pretty simplistic plot with very one-dimensional characters most of the time. And you might as well just throw Part 3 in there. But when you look at Part 8, it really does try to thrive off of this complex mystery, and it's one of the things that really intrigues you about the story. Now, for the first 30 chapters, I will say, especially between chapter, if I'm correct, in between the 30-40 mark, it was starting to lose me a bit, because it was really trying to push the pace of the story and really progress things with the narrative, but I was still so lost on what exactly was going on. I was like, okay, something needs to be explained soon. And luckily it was. Good timing. The setting seems akin to something like in Part 4, a much more condensed, personalized, rural type area, as Part 8 seems to be like the alternate universe counterpart as Part 4, and well, the protagonist of this part is Josuke. Now, I could not do a video about Part 8 and bring up Josuke and not bring up the gap between his teeth. I don't know what it is, but I feel like if I took one of them rolls filled with quarters, I could somehow manage to fit that through there. I feel like every time he breathes at night, it whistles. This is essentially the anime version of SpongeBob. You cannot stop. Look at it. And if that wasn't bad enough, it turns out he has 4 testicles. And then later on in the story, you find out there's a stand called Doggy Style. If that's not a clear sign that this part is just trying to screw your mind, I don't know what is. Araki's art style continues to improve as he tries to be innovative with a lot of the things. When it comes to the stands in this part, I can't say a lot of them are my favorite. When it comes to designs, I think a lot of them are neat, they're clean, they're a lot more of a modern look. But when it comes to stands, I don't think Part 8 does those the best. I think Part 5 probably, if I had to be honest, I think Part 5 has like the strongest roster of JoJo stands. So when it comes to the overall antagonists of the series, I can't really say I dislike them. I'm just kind of waiting to see what continues to happen, as I'm pretty sure the part is meant to be done, but I can't really get into it because, you know, spoilers. And when it comes to the side characters in Part 8, I think some of them have a lot more personality to them, and they're given their moments to shine individually, but I don't think any of them stand out to the point as much as, like, for instance, a Bruno did, or a Mista did, or a Weather Report did, or Koichi, or Gyro from Part 7. I don't think there's anyone in Part 8 that kind of fits that upper echelon, for me at least, when it comes to the focus that Araki is putting into those characters. This is a lot more of a protagonist-heavy part. So Josuke is definitely the standout character, and I'm going to be honest, I like that. It was one of the complaints I had about JoJo's in the past, is I kind of despised it, how almost every single time the protagonist was getting outshone by his side character, or by the secondary character. That shouldn't be the case. The protagonist should be the one driving the story here. Now, with that being said, I do like Josuke. I do love, actually like Part 8 Josuke a lot more than Part 4 Josuke. I think a lot of the build-up and the mystery behind his character is executed flawlessly. Again, it had me completely lost at first. And then once they finally drop that chapter where they piece it all together, it all makes beautiful sense, and you live in harmony with the chapter. Now, if there is something I would have to criticize this part for, is the exposition at times. This is a part that thrives on mystery. And I think part of what can make this mystery so confusing is at times it likes to tell you it, not show you it, especially early on when it makes the setting. It tries to explain the current moment, the current part, if you will, and it does it through this narration, which I find to be a little bit cheap, a little bit lazy, if I'm going to be honest. And then later on, we find out something massive as to how we got here in the first place, pertaining a character from a previous part, and I found it extremely distasteful that was just kind of brushed off through exposition, narration through some cheap flashback. I don't personally like that. I think there's a much better way to communicate the message. But for the most part, when it comes to the mystery surrounding Josuke, they actually show you that. They don't just tell you it through narration, which I really do appreciate. Now, outside all of the mystery and the mind games and all of the things that are kind of enveloped in that, JoJo's doesn't really do anything, I'd say, completely different in this part as they have in previous parts. For example, you could argue in previous parts as to who the main antagonist of that part was a little bit of a mystery, more so towards the middle than the end is when you kind of know who the big bad guy is. Also in this part, things really do pick up the pace near the middle, going to the latter half, which is a criticism you could have on JoJo's, that it does take a while to get into the good stuff, but once it does not look back on it. And currently it is at a moment of high tension in the chapters. But if I were to recommend it, I'd probably just say wait till it's finished. I had to read it though because there's going to be this tournament thing where we're going to be deciding what the best manga was of the year 2020. And well, I kind of want to know one of the mangas at least that we're going to be talking about. JoJo's has always thrived on kind of having a narrative that you could predict, but in execution was completely unpredictable. Here we have a narrative that is completely unpredictable, and while the execution is, well, the same as typical JoJo's. Anything that you would expect, and by the time you think that you kind of got it down, it throws everything that you know out of the window, and kind of sets a new desk completely in front of you, which is a good thing, because if there's one thing about JoJo's that can be a little annoying because of the memes, are the spoilers. And the spoilers is what's kind of ruined the major climax of Part 3, in that final confrontation, but luckily that's not the case in Part 8, and I think that's partially due to the fact that, and I hope this isn't just me, you're pretty much confused almost a lot of the time, at least when it comes to the major narrative point. When it comes to some of the more minor things leading up to that, and the build-up, that's not what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the big thing that connects all of this. So if you are someone who likes stories that can really mess with your mind, and you're like, go ahead, Mask, test me, go ahead, read Part 8 for yourself. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, that way you're always notified when a new video pops up. As always, this has been the Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.